Hello! Let's get some volume stuff adjusted here. Welcome, welcome. So stream 1 that we did on Tuesday actually went really well. I expected it to be very scuffed, but realistically, didn't run into many issues at all. It all just kind of worked out pretty well. I know saying that now, we're going to have issues this stream, I'm certain. I've just jinxed it. But yeah. So last time on Tuesday, we were working on setting up networking into my audio system for playing different sound effects for, say, collision sounds or footsteps. And it seems we've got the footstep system completely synced now. So you can go ahead and walk around and hear other people walking around you. It seems to be working. I'll be testing it on Sunday at an event called the VRC Community Meetup, where there's going to be roughly 80 people. So if it's going to break anywhere, it will break there. But since that system is working, today we'll be working on the collision objects, which is going to be much more difficult. Hello, Aaron. Aaron, Ashley? I'll just go with Aaron. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so each of these objects will need to be able to tell the system to play a sound effect, which it can do locally. Ashley, okay, yeah, it works for me. So it can play these sounds locally perfectly fine, but we're going to need to be able to tell other players to do this. And in that case, only do it if you're only network out the call that you're doing if you are the owner of the object locally. Which is going to take a few adjustments here. One of the main changes that this is going to do is previously, I just locked the networking, the sync mode for this to be none, which is perfectly fine because you can put it on an object with a VRC object sync component and it'll be perfectly fine. If I want to be able to call a networked event, it has to be at least manual, maybe continuous. If you have an object sync on it, it needs to be continuous. It cannot be manual. So the issue here is I don't want to make, I don't want to suddenly require hundreds of physics objects to be part of a continuous networking sync. That will be not great. I'll be honest. They'll be particularly bad. Actually, it will be a noticeable performance issue and noticeable issue with the networking of basically everything that will be in your world if you were to do that. Now, the way that this was solved for footsteps was actually quite easy, because there's realistically only one script that handles anything for the footsteps, and that's the contact footsteps. Just this one. It knows all of the sound effects it needs to be picking from, so it can just look up that library, pick one of the sounds from it, and play it. And that's really easy to set up since we have that syncing like centralized station of where everything happens. Unfortunately, we don't have that for the way I implemented the objects, because each object just tells the generic, like the actual contact audio player, play this sound effect here. So I'm thinking the solution here is to have another required object in your scene, which I'll have to make some documentation for, or I'll have to find a way to automate. So we'll essentially have what we have for the footsteps, which is this bank of audio sources. And when that gets done, we'll have to have a way... Oh, let's see here. Because we only want it to sync if there's an object sync component on it. Okay, the main reason why we need to network this at all is because when you are using VRC object sync, it interpolates and smooths the movement of the game object for everyone else. So if you were to bounce a basketball on the ground, for example, no one else will actually see, quote unquote, the collision that's happening and will be able to play that sound because it's smoothing too fast for it to be bouncing right. So if we want that sound effect to happen, we have to tell everyone, hey, play the sound effect. But that's only the case if there's an object sync component on this. So we're going to have to change up a few things here. All right, so I have a play clip function here, which just takes an array of audio clips right now. Goes to a position, sets the pitch range, the volume range, and I'm going to have to move this into a separate object, which let's come up with a name here. Contact collision manager controller. If I call it contact collision controller, that's 3 C's, which I don't know if that's better or worse. Collision or manager? I'll let chat decide on that one. Sorry, controller or manager. I honestly, because usually a manager is something that controls a lot of other scripts. A controller is something that is kind of like that, but naming conventions. Yeah, let's just go with controller for now. Contact collision controller. One of the extra things that comes into this is I have a lot of documentation for all this stuff, and I'm going to have to update all that documentation once once this is all working. And I will not be doing that on stream. You do not have to watch me figure out how to type out a tutorial. Let's see, this will need to be manual, so put on behavior sync mode. Manual. Let's see, so this will need to know the... Oh, let's see here. This controller will have to have an array of all of the banks of audio, which won't be doable at runtime, so we'll have to have a list of, or an array of the names of those banks. Yeah. Oh, how do I want to do this? Oh, let's just go look at the footstep system and see how I did there. Alright, so we had names and jagged arrays. Okay, yep, that'll be a perfectly fine setup for me. Light, medium, and heavy collisions. Won't need material IDs, but we'll need the names of these presets. Also, let me know if the audio is working fine. I completely changed how I'm playing music, and unfortunately, since I'm playing music off of, well, YouTube, volume can be a little bit inconsistent sometimes. So, just let me know if anything's up. Is it working? Awesome. Also, hello, Steady or Shadow, first or last name. Objects. Okay. This will be a contact behavior, which is my generic behavior that has a reference for the contact audio, just as a essentially treating it as a singleton. I could use something like VRF assist that will give you singletons. The issue being I don't want to have something that's a dependency essentially require another dependency. It's one of those things that it's realistically fine, but it's just going to be another hassle for the user. And I love y'all, but the fewer questions in my Discord server that I have to answer, the better. Basically, as the clearer things can be on the outset for the user, the better it is for everyone's experience. Like, I am more than happy to help people in my Discord server, but I don't want people to feel like they have to find help to make the system work. And don't get me wrong, my contact audio player system is probably the most complicated thing for the user that I've made. This is the third variation of it. Like, I've been making this system since, like, 2020. 1459 questions. Yeah. Though, to be fair, if you have any questions during the stream, feel free to let me know, and I will happily report back. And, well, realistically, I'll be happy to answer as fast as I could. So, we're going to need a play clip function here. Public bool is saint. And we're going to hide this in the inspector because we're going to set this. We're going to set that via the my build post process system. What that means in general is that when you hit play in the scene view, or when things get compiled into a playable game, this bit of code here will run, and it will do a bunch of stuff to prep all of the behaviors, spawn some things if it needs to, or just give up if something isn't in the scene. Excuse me. So for contact collision controller, since this is now a thing that we're going to be having, where do I want to do that? Contact pool, physics presets. Yeah, this will be part of the physics preset system, because this is where all of the this is where all the physics objects are found, dealt with, fiddled around, and things are done. So, let's see. I'm gonna need an array for names. Yeah, okay. Let's just do this is string for names, a list of audio clip arrays, light clips, and a list of audio clip arrays for the heavy clips, or medium, yeah. Essentially what I'm doing here is the collision sounds have light, medium, and heavy clips that you can use. And all of those are going to have to be stored separately, which is why I'm having 3 of these things. So I could cast it to an array. Yeah, I'll just duplicate this. It'll be fine. So let me add. Okay, then I can just pop that at the end of both of these. Heavy clips. Swap that heavy. Swap this one to be medium. And I have to append in the name of each one as well. Wait. Oh, wait, no. Okay. Alright. I can make this much simpler. Let me just type A to stop compilation. Alright. So when we look at these objects in here, I forgot that the different presets for light, medium, heavy are just presets. Like they aren't like a light preset or anything. So assuming that the user knows to name everything differently, I can just assert that it'll be fine. And we can go from there. Marina Dragonflame, hello! Welcome! We are getting some stuff set up here for the collision sounds. So, I'm just going to call this audio clips instead. Essentially what we're doing is we're taking our collision sound system and shoving it into one object that's going to be doing all of the networking for us. This takes a little bit of finagling, but it seems to be working. Yeah, thanks. It's definitely been fun so far. I'm sure I will come across something where it'll be slightly less fun at some point. Though, that'll probably just be due to, oh, my schedule has suddenly changed and I need to move things around. I definitely plan on having my, let's say my work situation, changing in the next couple weeks. And I don't know what my available hours will be after that. So I will have to find that out and possibly end up adjusting my stream schedule for that. I still plan on doing twice a week. This feels pretty good and it has me being pretty productive. I just don't know if it will be at 4 p.m. Central Time on Tuesday, Thursdays anymore. But we will come to that when we get there. Alright. Name is light preset name. Medium preset name. And heavy preset name. It might make more sense to do an instance ID for this. What is this? Instance ID is an int. Yeah, because instance IDs are always unique. The reason that I didn't do them before is because instance IDs change every time that you like go to play mode. You'll have like your game object will just have a different ID. But realistically, all these IDs need to just be read at one time, and then they get baked into the objects and everything. So there shouldn't be an issue there, actually. Yeah, let's swap this out. Yeah. This should actually work surprisingly well. Instance ID. Get instance ID. Now, the big thing is that all of these objects are going to need to know an instance ID for these in order to do that lookup. So let's do a public int light preset ID medium and heavy. These are public, but I'm using my private naming convention because this is only going to be set once, and that's during the build process. This shouldn't be visible to the user at all. Then let's go ahead Yeah, okay. Next we need a contact collision controller because nobody came up with a better name. I've considered streaming before work, but streaming while trying to focus on programming sounds difficult. Honestly, I have found that I work very well in the company of others. The ability to talk somehow keeps me on track a lot of times. Especially if I'm able to talk about the actual work I'm doing. So like obviously, now that I'm saying something, I'm not typing anything on my screen. But I find it very easy to talk about the thing that I'm already doing. So I can just do find object of type, contact collision controller. Though it's more listening to people, talking helps me work. Yeah, that's fair. I found that it really depends on the situation. During college, I don't know if it was like something I accidentally forced to happen, but I essentially couldn't write a paper without listening to like a 10-hour long version of Portal's the Self-Esteem Fund track. It's kind of like an ambient thing, but I got so used to just running that and having that be how I did all of my essays and anything that I was doing at the time. Hi, Emil. Gorgeous Georgia. That's a good name. Amazing stuff. Please keep on keeping on. Will do. Videos help me a ton. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I really wanted to make more tutorial videos. This is going to sound stupid, but the reason that I haven't done them for a while is because of issues that I had with my VTuber software. I would have a tutorial down and like be like, oh, these are the things that I'm going to do. But I wanted to keep my production quality up to the same stuff that I'd been putting up. And I just like couldn't get my new model to work with VMagick Mirror the same. So as you see right now, I'm no longer using VMagick Mirror. I'm using VC Face, which is, it has a lot of nice things that it does. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the keyboard mouse layout on the character that you get with VMagick Mirror that I really liked because it really fit the vibe of programming. But, I will deal with this. But it does mean that I should be able to do more tutorial videos here in the future. Yeah, it is one of the unfortunate things of having been raised someone who's particularly attuned to art. So when the artistic process gets interrupted, it's like, and just suddenly just like, I'm upset, I can't like make the thing, and then I go away and not come back to it. Yeah, I wish that it didn't, like... I wish that it wasn't such a... Like, I've put out so many tutorials in the past, and I've come up with plenty more, and just didn't do them, because the process of making a tutorial video always ran into this technical issue of me having my VTuber not work. Which sounds, honestly, a little petty, I'll be honest. But, yeah, I will happily put in some time to get some more tutorial videos in. Hopefully this will also kind of really get me back in the groove of kind of talking and going through my process and stuff. Because one of the things that I've done in my tutorial videos in the past is I'm very much I just pretended that I'm explaining it to someone. Like, I just pretend there's someone next to me, and I do the thing and walk them through, and they don't respond, so I just keep going. Excuse me. But since I haven't done that for a while, I still find myself that I'm quite good at talking for long periods of time. But oh my god, after that first stream, it felt like my mouth was gonna fall off. I was exhausted from the amount of talking that I did. This is an ad for water. Please drink. It will very much help. Also, do not take please drink out of context. Let's see, what are we doing here? Controller, audio clips, hydrate or dehydrate. True. You are only ever in two different states. You are either hydrating or you are dehydrating. Just one is typically much slower than the other. Take a shot each time a method is not exposed to udon. Haha, you fool! That will never happen in this stuff because I know what I'm doing. Okay, it'll probably happen once or twice, but most of the stuff that I'm doing, especially for this system right now, is things I've already familiarized myself with, so there should be no surprise. Oh no, this wasn't exposed to udon. Don't get me wrong, this project is full of things that aren't exposed to udon and a bunch of fixes on it as well. Like I have presets that are objects you put on your script, and I have all of this stuff here that just copies values from it on the build process and then deletes them. Does this collision sound include the player's colliding? Wow, I can't talk. Does this collision sound include player's collider as well? No. So what this system does is you attach a component like the contact collision object onto a rigid body, and you can swing that around, and when it bonks into things, it'll either play the light, medium, or heavy collision sounds. And right now, those aren't synced. So if you have a synced object that you're whacking around, people won't hear those sounds the same. Which is the reason why we're going through it. Yes, metal pipe sound effect is... I am glad that I recorded a bunch of demo sounds for this, because A, that means that I have the rights to all those. I can freely distribute them. But B, nothing was too loud or obnoxious because I had to deal with those sounds during the editing and development process. So, actually, all the footstep system sound effects I had mentioned on Tuesday, but I literally had just taken a cardboard box and my shoe and just hit the shoe against the box to make different sounds. Then if I wanted like a metal sound, I think I took like a cassette player actually and just hit the shoe against the cassette player. Basically, it was whatever was on my whatever was in my room that was made of the material I wanted to walk on. Being a Foley artist, even like independently, just feels like it really feels like you're strapping duct tape onto something. It's like, this is good enough. A little bit of tweaking, we'll fix it in post, and just like, yeah, it just works. I don't know how. All right, fix down to array. Alright, so this controller has IDs, so I'll just duplicate that. IDs to array. Alright, so during the build process, this will get populated here. Now, contact collision controller, all of these objects are going to need to know about this controller here. So, let's go ahead. Edit the script here, so this is going to need a hidden inspector as well. Public contact collision controller. Controller. What did I call this thing? Contact audio. Okay, so I didn't call that controller. Good. Oh, wait. Okay, I don't want to add this if this ID already exists in there. Otherwise, I'm just going to have a lot of garbage appended into it. Int ID equals light preset dot instance ID. If IDs dot contains ID exclamation point. let me just shove it in. We'll do, actually, let's set it here. So int current ID, so that we don't have to set that constantly. And I will do this once for each of these presets. There's probably some stuff that I could... yeah, let's iron that out a bit. No. This is fine. There's a concept in coding called drawing out your code, and one of the things there is the idea that if you have duplicated code, like code that's duplicated a lot of times, you should really cut those down into more manageable and reusable segments. And I could do that here, but I think just doing this 3 times for these 3 is just gonna be fine. It's just appending something into an array. Hello, Irby. How's it going? Just getting some stuff set up here for the syncing for the collision sounds. Medium and heavy. There we go. Okay. So let's go into play mode here. And see if this actually gets populated. Lots of setting up. Will you exist? So Contact actually is a free asset that I currently have. This demo scene is part of the prefab that I have released. The hope is that people who use the system will be able to just drag in some prefabs and it works perfectly fine. Right now, the footstep system has its own game object that needs to be in the scene. And the audio player is the root one, which also needs to be in the scene, which does all of the audio pooling and stuff. And this update that we're doing is going to add one more game object to the required things to have in your scene, which is a little annoying, but it's probably fine. Actually, I might even just be able to get away with just putting it on the Contact audio player. But if someone isn't using that system, I don't want them to feel like they have to have it in their scene. Here, we'll just make a Contact collision controller, I can spell, and have this in the scene. Alright. You will notice that this does not have the fancy inspector UI that I have for the other ones, because I haven't made it yet. That will be something that probably happens off stream when I do my documentation, because that is the kind of thing where I have to think a lot more about the words that I'm doing, and it's just more difficult when I'm doing stuff. Alright, so you may notice here that our audio clips array doesn't show up here in the inspector. And that's because Unity actually doesn't serialize a jagged array or an array of arrays. What we can do is we can do Odin serial. What is it called? I thought there was... yeah, there we go. I don't know why it wasn't autofilling, but Odin serialize is a attribute that you can put on things to have it serialized through the Odin system, which VRChat automatically imports. And that lets you see it here. So I can set this to be, let's be 2, for example. And then we have our arrays and everything here. This is just for visibility in the inspector. I don't actually expect to use this at all. In fact, I'll probably drop this the moment we leave play mode here. But this is just to prove that all of the variables and stuff are actually being populated into the system. All right. So we have the numbers on all the IDs there. Like this, we actually have glass light, glass heavy, plastic light, plastic heavy, box light, and box heavy. You'll notice that there aren't any medium presets here, even though I added support for adding in all of the presets for medium. This is because I didn't make them. I don't have any presets for medium sound effects. It just would have been another thing to do. And if you have your own sound library that can support that, then by all means. But if you see here, if I leave play mode, the medium preset is just the heavy preset. I just double them up for this. This is here almost exclusively for people that have a more robust sound library than me hitting things together on my desk. But for example, hold on, let me hide some of these gizmos. There we go. These bottles that kind of bang around and make glass sounds was a terrifying experience for me to record, because what I ended up doing was having a marble that I was dropping inside of a drinking glass to get that kind of sound effect of glass banging around and like having a bit of reverb out to it. It worked wonderfully, but oh my god, was it like, it was not fun to do that. I felt like I was going to break something every time. But it's fine. That was like years ago now, so I don't need to worry about it. I think I recorded the sound effects when I was still in college. Oh my god, it's like 5 years ago now, I guess. Alright, so now that we have this stuff here, we need to do 2 things. We need to inform the physics object of the audio, the collision controller, and we need to tell the object whether or not it is synced. Oh yeah, it's really interesting what kind of sounds that you can get away with making just with random nonsense. The reason it was like, it's never been something I've really gone into heavily, but I've always been interested in it because, well, I guess ever since I learned a little bit about the production of the first Star Wars movie. Famously, the sound effect of lightsabers hitting against each other was the guy taking a metal rod and hitting it against the metal suspension line that held up a power line pole, and it just made that twang, it was like crash, like sound effect. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, and I just walked over to the one that we had at the farm and hit it. I think I just had like a shovel or something at the time. I was like, oh, that's just the same sound. Huh. Neat. All right. Let's see here. Physics object dot controller equals controller. Now we're going to need to set its light, medium, and heavy IDs. Physics object light reset ID equals current ID. Let's just put that there. There. Heavy, medium. Ah, yes. Celeste is a game that I actually haven't played, but I've watched quite a few people play through it, and I've watched some speedruns of it. My girlfriend loves the game. Some other friends of mine really enjoy it. And I'm mostly here for the music. I'll be honest. Maybe I'll play through it one day. I've been playing so much fewer games than I did when I was in college or likes. Apparently trying to 100% it. Oh god. I know that like when you get to the back sides or like the extra stuff, it really starts getting difficult. And I'll be honest, the base game would probably be difficult for me. Yeah, it's definitely in that I'm almost certainly going to play this eventually. I have no idea. Oh, the blaster fight. Ah, whoops. Film projector and TV interface. Okay, okay. In my defense, I learned that probably 15 years ago. But yeah, I can definitely see that being the blaster sound instead. My apologies. So then the last thing we need to do is Societies is synced needs to be set. And is synced is a easy one to set because we can just kind of go physicsObject.isSynced equals physicsObject.getComponent VRC object sync. And that will return a bool as to whether or not we actually have one. And if it's not there, it is simply not synced. Easy. I could also do this in like the start event, but it's one of those things that if you can cut out more logic at the start of the game by just having that logic baked in, then it's golden. Especially because physics objects are one of those things that you might have hundreds of. Like, who knows? You might have made some horrendous ball pit world for some reason. Please don't do that. Where you physically simulated every one of the balls and they all have these collision sounds and stuff. If they all did something during their start event, you would notice versus them not doing something in their start event because you would chug even more entering the world. Very interesting rabbit hole to go down with all the sound effects and weird shows. Yeah, anytime that... Okay, so Star Wars had a budget, but now and then you hear about something that's like, was this like a backyard project that someone did in their garage? How on earth did they do this? It's incredibly impressive. Gonna hop out for dinner? Yeah, good having you. We'll definitely see you again and have some good food. So if we're populating all that correctly, the last thing that we're going to need is to actually have this try playing the sound effect if it is synced. So if it is synced, we do controller, whoops, underscore controller dot, and then basically copy the play sound function. Yeah, we won't need to reset any of these values. Controller.play sound, and basically just run the same function. So this will actually, there we go. This won't actually do anything different by default. In fact, all it will actually do is play the sound effect twice, which we don't actually want to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to have this call here where it goes to the contact audio controller itself in the else if it is not synced. But if it is synced, we're not actually going to call this function like this. We're going to do controller.sendCustomNetwork event and pass the name of play sound, name of contact collision controller.play sound. And in order to do that, we're actually going to have to give this the attribute network callable. I guess we can drop the underscore then. Alright. So it's gonna call this event. I probably missed this. Wherever you might have mentioned this. But with the syncing, will it just be a simple bool value on the context script that can be toggled chosen? Yeah, so what I'm doing right now is for two different systems. For the footstep system, if you want synced footsteps or not, that is just a bool here for synced footsteps. For the excuse me. For the physics objects, I can add that in as well, but right now what it's doing is it's automatically telling itself to be synced when it finds the presence of a VRC object sync component. And if you think otherwise, let me know and I can still add in the toggle. But I think having that toggle in is good enough for, well, not having the toggle, having the check for whether or not there's an object sync component on it is good enough for telling it that this needs to be synced. Alright, so now we need to shove in a bunch of oh wait, no, that's the name. We actually need to put something else in the start here, which is network event target all. So we need to tell everyone to do that. We're telling them the name of that function. Next, we just shove in all of our variables. Oh, right. Okay, so we don't do the network event here. Right. Okay, I remember that now. This system has these IDs and stuff, so we do it here. So instead of doing this audio clip, I'll need to do the check for that. That was perfectly for me, honestly. I would mostly use the footsteps, and the bool would be useful for a player menu, so people can turn it off. For sync pickups, though, I'd never make it not synced. Okay, that is a good point, though. I don't have like an example menu for turning off footstep sounds, or turning off synced footstep sounds. So that might be a good thing for me to add. Remind me later, and I will do that. So this sync check actually needs to happen over here. Oh, how do I want to handle this? So I could have all sound effects play through this, but I could also have only the networked ones. That might be the best solution. So this will be the networked sound effect here. This will get a random clip from that using the IDs. So we need to instead pass, instead of an audio clip, we need to pass the ID of Okay, all right. I'm about to make a lot of changes to this, so this might get a little bit weird. Alright, instead of playing audio clips from here, this is going to be swapped for type. God, I actually put a message in the Discord a while back when creating a UI slider for the volume of footsteps. Not too hard to just add a basic button to toggle a bool right next to the slide. True. Yeah, that should not be too difficult. Actually, no, I want to keep this function here. Instead of clips, I'll do int ID, and that's where I'll pass that. Like preset ID, medium, preset ID, heavy preset ID. The goal right now is this object needs to be able to tell our controller, hey, play this sound effect for everyone. The controller has the bank of audio clips, and it has a ID integer that uses to reference what bank of audio clips it's looking up. So I'm basically carving out where the logic for that happened in the collision object itself, and basing it off of the IDs rather than my audio clip arrays. And taking that, and I will be passing this ID into this function over here. So instead of doing an audio clip, it'll be an int ID. So let's get a audio int index equals IDs. Actually no, that ID can be passed as well. But yeah, okay. So I've changed how I'm handling this. Kind of like halfway through. Hello, Dr. Blackrat. I'm moving a bunch of stuff around here, so ignore the fact that everything is red. I swear it's fine. Probably. Alright, so we don't need this check anymore since we're passing an int for the IDs. Don't care about what the current clip is. We just want to pass these IDs with the stuff there. And add a bool synced. So if synced, else do that. Well, this looks better than double linked list code. I just have it right for Java. Yep. Glad I'm not doing that. I will let you enjoy the horrors of whatever you just described to me. Alright, so we need a audio clip array. Clips will equal audio clips ID. Okay. How is implementing networking going? It is taking a little bit of a refactor for how I'm handling the audio banks for the content, like the collision system. Footsteps was easy, but basically I'm completely moving the handling of the presets and everything over to the to a new component, which is the contact collision controller, which is going to be handling the actual data and audio clip stuff. The main issue being I can't just sync a audio clip variable because that is an object, that is not a value. So can't exactly pass that through an event. Oh, okay. Int array index equals array index of. We want IDs. Array index equals. Okay, one. Give up. Yeah. So I'm using IDs now. I was using names originally, but if someone has the same name for two presets, like high preset or low preset or something like that, then that would have been an issue. The reason I didn't use like ID, because right now in the IDs that I'm using are instance IDs. So I'm just doing get instance ID. The reason I didn't do that before was because the instance ID changes every time you build or something like that. However, it is consistent if you do it all at once, have these values, and then store them. So once it's like a playable scene or you're in VR chat, and it works just fine. It's very consistent. So I don't actually have to worry about that at all. So I'm going to do sync custom network event for all. And start shoving in, oh right, name of play sound networked. I need ID, position, max distance, volume, pitch. That's it. Oh, missed a comma. There we go. Yeah. All right. So this should send custom network event to all players with this data to run it from here. This function plays sound. Just toss that underscore on it. And this one doesn't need an underscore since it's network callable. Play sound here. What do we not got? Oh, we got synced. Is synced. There we go. We don't need this check here anymore. And actually, we don't need to store audio clips on this anymore. All of the audio clips are stored in the context stuff here. So we don't need a million references to stuff. I really have to put comments in this. This is all this code is from before I was doing a bunch of actual internal documentation for stuff, and oh boy does it need it. Hydrate. Have water. Alright, so I'm gonna hit play, and it'll either explode, or it'll just work perfectly fine, no issue. Alright, it didn't work. Alright, let's see what happened here. Index was outside of bounds of the array. Because I got the right variable and didn't use it. Alright, let's try again. I have no idea what's even going on inside that code base. Yeah, it takes me a while to remember as well. For two reasons. One, it's been a while since I made the system. But two, this is like the third or fourth rebuild of this system. I'm not redoing it now, but, excuse me. I was making contact for a long time before it's at its current state. Oh, God. Hiccups. In fact, sometimes you can find it floating around, but the original version of this was actually called Pacemaker because it was just a footstep system. And I thought, haha, Pacemaker, that's like a good name for footstep stuff. But now that does so much more, I just swapped to contact. Oh, I jumped in and immediately crashed something. Actually, why did this crash? Play jumping. Network jump. Oh, contact is free. It is one of the things that I set to be free after I started working at VRChat. Realistically, it would have been smart for me to swap it back to paid, but that would have been rude, so I simply didn't. Hello, Chanups. How's it going? I am doing the code. And you will be confused. I'm certain of it. Actually, what did break here? Network jump. volume param in network call to network jump had incorrect type system single. All right. Network jump takes int position byte. Oh, does it not like that I refactored this to use bytes for volume? Did you end up applying to design position? I actually didn't, because basically the moment that I started talking to people about it, the listing disappeared. So I'm sure that they already had a bunch of people going through it already. Yo, got off work early because of rain. Do you work outside? I actually don't know what you do. Not to dox you, but can you dox yourself? Alright, so the system obviously doesn't like the fact that I'm trying to toss a byte around for that, so let's just put in normal volume. Oh wait, no, it does work. I just didn't do it right. Alright, undo all the deletion. So one of the things that this system does is send custom network event a lot. And I want to test this at community meetup. So I thought it'd be a good idea to turn floats to bytes. Gonna head out now? Ah, good seeing ya. Hope you come back around sometime. And have a good day. Alright. Well, you are probably staying more fit than I am. Yeah, this is gonna be a rough one at community meetup. I am almost certain that it'll cause a lot of problems, I'll be honest. I expect this to max out the networking for the world pretty quickly. Though I guess, hold on, hold on, let me pull up some documentation here. VR chat network events. There's a stack. Okay. So I don't send footstep data only when people are within range, because that would require me sending it to each person individually. And that would require like player objects that are tracking those players and are a network event target for the owner, because you can't just say send this to this VRC player API. You have to send it to the owner of an object, which means you would need to have player objects essentially for validating that. And it's just so much more to the system that I can't imagine the performance benefit would be better. One thing I did recently, actually not recently, but at this point you would lose the performance benefit. Yeah, exactly. However, one thing that I think we can do, yeah, okay, we can get an int from network calling.getQueued events. You can also use the overall networking.isClogged. All right. I will simply not send events if that is true. All right. And networking.isClogged. All right. If this is supposed to be synced and the networking is not clogged, we'll send it. And if it's not, we'll just play it locally. This is something I only learned about yesterday. So I will be making use of that here. That's actually I would not have thought to put that back in if you weren't asking about it and making me re-explain it to myself. So thank you for bringing that up again. Just telling the docs when you're testing. Nice, nice. All right. Let's play. So right now, nothing that we're trying out here should be the physics stuff, because all of the physics objects are not synced, so nothing should have changed. Hold on. Where is my contact? Where is your audio bank? There it is. Okay, so this all looks right. I think I might just have Unity's volume set very quiet. Let me bump Unity up to 75. Probably add that to the footstep networking too. Yeah. Yeah. Do I have... I don't have Unity muted, right? What is happening here? Why can't I hear that? It seems to be playing. Alright, I'm just gonna max out Unity's volume. My apologies if this is horrible. Yeah, the sound you heard there was the physics objects. Okay, that might have been a bit loud. My apologies. Like it's placing the audio source. Hold on, let me pause our music here for a sec. I don't hear anything. It's putting in the thing. Oh, the sound of bottles. Yeah, so that was actually the this is the me tossing a marble around inside of a drinking glass. And I felt horrible doing it because it was terrifying. Is it just not calling play? Network jump, does contact play sound, instance, play sound, we're good. We're not getting tried to play null clip. Play sound, checks to see if it's a clip, if not return to the pool. Well, I'll turn Unity back down for now and go back to Mario. Set active, true. Play on awake, okay. Why am I not hearing this? Because it's using the exact same audio sources as, actually here, let me respawn and show you this here. So you see all of these sound effects going up and down, so that system is playing perfectly fine. But the like walking around is let's check the footsteps distance. All right. Footstep. Where is it? Where? There we go. Footstep sound distance. Let's put this at 16 instead of 8. $32. Because it's selecting the right audio source. Wait, did it just play it as 0 volume? 44. Let's watch 44. Yeah, it's playing it at 0 volume. Oh, is my byte stuff just not working correctly? It almost certainly is. Alright, Mario. I'm not even meant to be testing the footstep system. I did this on Tuesday. Alright, what am I doing here? That would be why. I was casting a lerp to a bite that was supposed to return a float between 0 and 1, which should always return 0. That's probably what was doing it. It's amazing how, like, if I just looked at my code, I probably would have never found that, but just running back and forth constantly, trying to figure it out, and like, just mentally going through it, it's like, oh, I know exactly where it is, and then I dive into the code. There we go. Now footsteps are working. Perfect. Alright. Let's get some syncing on this now. Crate, bottle, object, sync. Force kinematic on remote. Okay. So what we need to do now... Yeah. We only want to send this event if you are the owner. Alright. It's a little clunky. But there we go. We only want you sending out a synced event if you are the owner of that thing. Otherwise, yeah, just handle it locally. Alright, so we should have no noticeable difference going to play mode now. Alright, that seems to be working fine. Now, the annoying one, and by annoying one, I mean annoying because I'm streaming. So I am going to launch up 2 tests here. Build and test 2. The reason this is annoying is because I have a scene switcher. So I'm going to have to swap to my display capture once this is built, because otherwise you will only see one of my Unity scenes, which honestly might be fine. I can just put the other only one of my VR chat instances. That's it, which honestly might be fine. I can just put the other one on my other monitor and run around, and you could see it happen. Give it a sec to boot up. Eventually. All right. Let's get volume figured out here. So now we need. Hey, yo, okay. You can hear them walking around. You can hear them walking on different surfaces. now the big one. They're going to move all of these objects. Well, I'm not sure that's entirely what we want. Let's try that again. Reset everything. Oh god. Oh god. All right. Right. How do I check how well the networking is handling for this? This isn't this menu. Suffering 0, kilobytes out, kilobytes in. Okay, so that's what I want to be checking. It's probably minuscule on your side, but right now it's 2.9 and suffering is 0. If I do this, bytes in goes up to 5. Suffering is never true though. Though I don't know if suffering and clogged are the same thing. They probably aren't related at all, actually. But let's do this. So it happens once a second, and they all get delivered at the same time as this they all play at the same time as that number going up. Alright, how does it sound if there's just one object? Is it still at like that 1 second delay? Okay, no, that works perfectly fine. Lotus, hi Bogan. Good to see you back on YouTube again. Yeah, it's honestly been, it's pretty nice to be back. Unfortunately, I'm running into some issues with my sound system, which is honestly a quite common thing for my streams, even back in the day when I used to do some streams. So the issue I'm running into now is when all these collisions happen at once, the networking stops updating for 1 second, and every second delivers a new batch of the sound effects. Which is obviously not what I want. We could swap distance to be a byte. Okay, yeah, I think... Yeah, let's get this in here. They sound networked. Volume to byte. Volume. Wait, are you running into networking data size limitations already? Maybe. I don't know. All that I know is that the delivery of these network variables are like these networked events is once a second when there's a lot of them happening. So I'm just gonna start trying to convert stuff back to lower stuff. Right, to volume. Yeah, I'll admit, if this is already an issue, then I'm gonna be kind of annoyed. But whatever. Alright, we'll just do range instead of volume, because that makes more sense. Since I'm going to be using it for the pitch as well. Precision max distance, volume, pitch. Alright, so that cuts down 2 of the floats we had. There's probably a stupid way for someone to have more than 256 presets in the world, and I don't want it to break doing that randomly. Float max distance. Honestly, I can probably pretty safely put the max distance as a byte. I'm gonna do that. It's not even gonna be a byte converter. That's just gonna be a raw byte. Why would someone need 6.5 meters as your max range? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Alright. That's cutting down on a lot of it. How fast does networking.isclogged update? Max events per second. What is this? Max events per second. Max events per second. Where is this field? Oh, it's a passable thing to network callable. Rate limited to prevent excessive usage. The default is 5. Okay, that's probably it. Because it's once every second. Oh, that's it. Yep. All right, we figured it out. We found the problem. By default, any networked event can only be called at max 5 times a second. And since all these things were happening, they were caching in second increments. We can manually set that to be 100. I think. Oh wait, set this to be 0. What does that mean? Note that for events without parameters, you can set this to 0 to make it a legacy event. Oh, what does that mean? Legacy events and security. Underscore name, max nodes per second, set to 0. Let's just set this to be 20 per second. And if networking dot oh, what is it? I'm trying to find what the current queue of network events are. Sending events, sharp, parameter size limits and event splitting. Right, limiting congestion. Network calling dot get queued events. Get all queued events. All right. Network calling dot get queued events. This name of play sound networked. Oh, what do I have to cast this as? What is it expecting? An IUDON event receiver. Okay, so we'll just have it be a const up here. Private const max event count equals 20. Oh. Int. There we go. And this is less than max event count. We're stacking a few of our checks here. Alright, so now it should simply not attempt to send these events over the network when it is above this value, instead of repeatedly queuing them up. Because if I set this to be 20 and 30 played, 20 would play right away, and then 1 second later, the other 10 will. And I want to ignore those. So that should be what this handles right here for us. So in that case, we're going to reload our build and test. Reload Tesla. Build and reload world. There we go. And now we wait. How's everyone doing? I guess I've been a bit dived headfirst into figuring out this networking stuff. Alright, still got... Well, footsteps still work, just ignore the fact that my character isn't looking right. I'm not entirely sure what just happened there. I think there's an issue with ownership claiming that's happening at the moment. Alright, so if we just drop this. It sounds like all of the audio sources are getting cut off immediately. Has something changed here? Let's just try it locally in Unity. See if something's up. Because the footsteps sound fine. Oh yeah, whatever the issue is, it's noticeable in Unity as well. What is happening here? Does the issue go away if I drop the object sync component? Because that's going to be the real test. Is like, is the issue something I added, or is the issue something I didn't add? Hmm. Ugh. I didn't fix it. What actually is happening here? It's playing the right sound effects. It's just like playing them very quickly. Oh, their pitch is being set to 255. All right, something's wrong here. There we go. All right, that'll do it. That'll do it. All right, all right. I was doing a range to pitch for the volume, and pitch to range for. Sorry, I was doing range to byte for volume and pitch, and I was only doing byte to range for volume and not pitch. So technically, every sound effect that was playing was attempting to play at 255 pitch, which is bad. All right, let's do a quick secondary test here, in Unity. Oh, there we go. Now everything's back to normal. Put the object sync back on, and we will get ourselves back into the art chat. That was a weird issue. I mean, it's entirely my fault for copy pasting code and not filling in the rest of it that I was doing. But yeah. Friendly reminder: move your back. Don't just be sitting here all the time. You are going to need some amount of movement in your body. Alright, so I'm going to park me here. Other me will go over here. Well. This sounds like more sound effects than there actually are. Let's have... Okay, that's really funny to watch, actually. Yeah, okay. So, there's a lot of sounds there. But... if I just do that, that sounds relatively correct. However, if the other one comes in, starts hitting everything together, those sounds play constantly. So let's figure out what's happening. Alright. So these collision checks... Oh, okay. I see now. It's because we're stacking this ownership check here with everything else. It's not... okay. Since this ownership check is failing, it's going right to playing it locally. So the collisions are being broadcast to us and being networked. Which is not what we want. Also, I think we can drop this to 10 now. Alright, so if this is synced and you're... Okay. Yeah, so we're going to check this, then that, and then the ownership check will be inside of this. so that if you're not the owner, you don't secondary call it if you are not the owner and it is a synced function. All right, let's get back into Unity. Unity? Oh, nope. There we go. I'm also going to set this to actually claim ownership over all the objects, because why did I do this? Why did I make a really complicated preset? I guess this works for local as well. Yeah, okay, I guess that's how I was resetting them locally. So I guess I'll just do ownership claiming. Let's see. Grab a local player there. Networking.set owner. Local player RB. Game object. Oh. Alright. That's still going to have smoothing over the network, but that's probably fine. It's probably for the best. It'll let us see a bunch of different events happen as well. Alright. Build and reload. We'll swap back to VR chat here. Let's go to rider, then this. Whoops. Rider, then this VR chat. Alright, park in front of there. The other me will come over here, claim ownership. It's still a lot. Alright, that might be a little loud. Let me turn that down a bit. What is doing that? Did I... Let me check this again. So if it's synced, actually, okay. We have to do these checks after. Okay. Operation of order. All right. The impressive part here is that this seems to be the last issue. Everything's working. We're just figuring out a few of the last touch-ups. And my plan was to go for 2 hours today, but if we end up getting this all finished here shortly, then yeah, everything else is just cleanup that I'll be doing off stream. Nice. Yeah. You know, I'll be honest, I was expecting playing a bunch of random sound effects to not go over great. And as I can see, half of the follower count has halved. The current watch count has halved. And that is exactly what I expected to happen, I'll be honest. Yeah, so it seems to have been a combination of the max count, the order in which I was checking some things, and of course now we'll actually find out. Awesome. That's it. That's as much as I want from this. That is high enough quality for these sound effects to be playing and resetting everything. Perfect. That is good enough. That is actually more than I could hope for, honestly. I thought we would have to cut it down a bit more. I think we can pretty safely change this to be 20 events instead of 5. Especially since we're doing the clogged check. Yeah, so my contact system actually had no networking at all. It was relying, the physics collision was relying exclusively on the very inconsistent collision events that you would get from the uncollision enter from your remote kinematic version of that object. So since synced objects are just smoothed out across other players, the collisions were you don't see the same collision events, because if someone has a ball rebound off of a wall, it just smooths to the point that you never see that ball hit the wall. So you would never have a sound effect for that. My system was completely local because of the limitations of what I could do with networking events. And lo and behold, seems we're there. I think we actually got this. Yeah, I'm actually quite happy with this. Everything here on out will be me cleaning up the code a bit, putting in lots of comments, writing some updated documentation, and I should have the update for this pushed out. I want to say less than a week from now. But I'm sure something's gonna come up. But yeah. Well, we got 15 minutes to burn here, since this system's basically done. Anyone have anything they want to check out? Anything they want to ask? Ideas for projects for next week? Because obviously this is done. I won't be working on it next week. One of the big things that I do want to do, however, is since this system is free, I want to start working on big projects that are available on my Patreon. You have questions regarding footsteps? Yeah, sure. Let's hear them. Struggling with a quick setup. Yeah, Gorgeous. Feel free to type out your whole thing quick. Quick, Black Rat. How did you solve the issue? By the way, I saw you were looking at the queued events. Yeah, the issue I ended up running into was that I would have like 20 events being called at once, and network callable by default limits you to 5 per second. So it just was queuing up those events to send 5 more every second until it went through all 20. So I increased that number and just am not sending events if I reach that number. Can you show how quickly set up the footstep system? Sure. So let's just go to a just some random empty scene here. VRC default world. All right. So in order to get the footstep system working, let's just do a quick search of contact all. Here we go. Just go to the contact folder. What? No, that's... Oh, right. Friggin' VR chat has stuff called contact now. Yes, it's all going through that one script, which is why it was reaching that. Okay, so if we go to Vaughan Contact Audio in the packages folder, go to Runtime Prefabs, you will need the Contact Audio Player and the Contact Footsteps. The audio player is the thing that actually does all of the put audio source at location, play audio there, and doesn't go over your max count of 64. The Contact Footsteps is the thing that actually checks whether or not you're moving around and stuff. In the future, you don't have this right now, but there will be a toggle for synced footsteps. At the bottom, there's all of the presets, and by default, these presets are just populated with all the ones that came with it. If I want to have, let's say, this cube here is grass. Pretend that it's green, for example. The material that it's using, I guess I can actually just find a green material. Cube Mat 2. Okay. Cube Mat 2 is our material that's green. What we want to do is go to our grass preset here, and you can make your own preset as well. Just edit them, duplicate them, or whatever you like. But if we double click this, you'll see that grass currently doesn't have any materials on it. So what we can do is click in there, and this one was Cube Mat 2. So I'll actually just search for Cube Mat 2. There we go. And now that that has the material on it, on the grass preset, we should be able to go into play mode and just kind of walk over it and get grass sounds. Let's find out here. Well, we're already starting out with an error. It's a good sign. Network footsteps. What is broken, actually? Oh. What's broke? Footstep clips ID. Network footstep current ID. Oh, is it that by default you aren't walking on anything? So it, or okay, hold on. Let me leave play mode. VRC world is there. Let's just move the VRC world on top of it and see if the issue goes away. I think it's because this ground material isn't set as a preset anywhere. It's just panicking and doesn't know what to do, which is something I should fix, if that is the case. Nope, that wasn't the problem. God dang it. Debug, presets. Better. Footstep clips ID. Object reference was not set to instance of object. Alright, I'm going to temporarily throw an Odin serialize on this. Which is... that's not going to work because I have my custom editor. Crap. Alright, I'll look into that issue later. I would say if you did what I did, it should probably work. I don't know what happened. Let's see here. Pudding Whispers. I had an issue with the third-person camera system for worlds using a vehicle system by SAC. Where when hopping in vehicles, the car would disappear when in third person. Okay. So what's happening there? It works on my side everywhere I step. It's the same sound. if you have multiple materials on the same game object, it'll only go with the first one that it finds. So you'll have to have different materials for each surface. Well, you'll have to have a different game object for each surface that you're walking on. I don't know if you have it set up like that or not. Pudding Whispers. The camera system has a layer mask of what layers it will show things on, and the cars likely have have their own layer that you'll have to include in that list. Let's just go into VCC here. Do I have my... Yeah, okay. I can toss the camera system into this project here and open it up. Just so I can point out exactly where it would be. There's a lot of handling for how layers are done with that system, mainly because there's a lot of things you don't want to show like 10 times, especially the player menu. Since we're putting a menu, since we're putting the camera behind your body, you don't want the player to have to interact with a menu that's physically in front of them and now harder to see. Okay, let's get TMP in here. Close that. So we are looking at machine virtual camera. No, I want the actual camera. There we go. Hand tracker, camera. So this is the camera for the UI. You don't want to touch this. But under Insight Camera System, the first object camera, you will change the culling mask to include whatever layer the SACJAM vehicles are on. Presumably there will be a new one that's down here. It's called like vehicle cervix. I haven't actually used the system, but it would probably be around. Awesome. Yeah. I guess I'll remove the let's see here. Demo. Let's get back into our demo for this. Yeah, of course. Happy to help. I'll go to VCC and just remove the Insight camera from this project since it's not needed in this one, and this is my synced one on GitHub for the contact audio stuff. Yeah. All right. Well, I now know that there's some kind of issue with tossing the system into an empty scene, so I get to find out what's wrong with that, and I'll be doing that one off stream. But yeah, any other questions or stuff people run into? If not, I can start shutting it down, but let me know if anyone has something. You know what I have? Some water. My God, do I need it? Ah. Yeah, thanks for coming. It has been wonderful having people showing up and interacting with this. I honestly had no idea how much interest or traction that I'd really be getting for essentially not really tutorials, but formatted like 2-hour-long breakdowns of my workflow and just kind of random deep dives into stuff. But I'm glad people have been enjoying it. Yeah, I think with that, let me do the VTuber thing. There we go. Yeah, so with that, I think I'll be shutting it down here. It was great seeing everyone. We'll be planning on the same thing next week, so Tuesday, Thursday at 3 p.m. 4 p.m. CST, which is, I believe, 2 p.m. Pacific time and 5 p.m. East Coast. If you're in Europe, I can't help you. There's too many time zones over in Europe. The US has 4 and it's already a mistake. But yeah, it's great seeing everyone, and I look forward to catching everyone again. We'll see you around.